countries where they are coming from. And I think that this topic is of paramount importance as we try to understand, develop and strengthen national evaluation capacities in countries where we are coming from. And I think national evaluation systems tools are critical in understanding the state and status quo of national evaluation systems in different countries, and that they play an important role in how they would solicit information that would allow for strengthening and development of national evaluation systems. So we are very much fortunate that we have got 7 panelists who bring different unique perspectives. Allow me to introduce the different panelists that we have today who will be sharing their insights. I've got Sarah here, who has 10 years of experience in evaluation capacity development. She's the technical lead for DVAL's evaluation capacity development work and is the team leader of the ECD project for FOSLAC. Sarah has focused her work in Latin America, exploring ECD approach from a theoretical perspective. Thank you, Sarah, and you're welcome. We have Florita here. Is a graduate in planning, specialized in social promotion from the National University of Costa Rica, and in public management for social development from the National Institute of Public Administration, Spain. Florita served as a former Vice Minister of the Ministry of National Planning and Economic Policy. Florita is the Director of Evaluation and Monitoring Area in the Ministry of National Planning and Economic Policy of Costa Rica. We are welcome, Florita. We also have Jocelyn, is an economist pursuing a master's degree in public policy with 7 years of experience at the National Planning Secretariat. She initially worked in monitoring before transitioning to evaluation for the past 4.5 years. Her role has evolved in national and sectoral planning, public policy evaluation, and territorial assessments. Thank you, Jocelyn, and you are welcome. We have Ketevan here, leads country programs on strengthening national monitoring and evaluation systems at the Global Evaluation Initiative of the World Bank. Over the past years, Ketevan has led country monitoring and evaluation systems, MESA, or diagnostics globally, and worked with governments and civil society to strengthen institutional capacities and systems with a focus on climate change and environmental sustainability. Katie, welcome. Then we've got Guido here. He's a professional focused on assisting organizations to deliver results using evidence. Currently is an evaluation officer at the Office of Evaluation of the World Food Programme. Prior to joining World Food Programme, worked in the public sector in Argentina for 20 years. You are welcome. We have Betoto, is an economist and assistant professor at the University of Paraco, Benin. She has over 8 years of experience in evaluating development projects in sub-Saharan Africa. She has served as a Twendembele National Coordinator and is the Director of Public Policy Evaluation at Ministry of Development and Coordination of Government Action in Benin. Welcome, Bitoto. And last but not least, we have got Bexot here. Is the head of monitoring and evaluation of ongoing reforms group agency for strategic reforms under the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Thank you, and you are welcome. So, colleagues, let's welcome our panelists who will be talking today. Thank you for welcoming them. So I'll start with Sarah. So Sarah, this is for you. What do you think is important or unique about the INCE tool, and why is it particularly helpful, and at what point should it be used? As you also speak to that, you would take us through which diagnostic tool did you use and when, and how do you think that diagnostic tool worked out better than the other tools that are maybe out there in the world. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Taku, for these questions, and thank you for coming here. I will focus on the first questions because I think that Jocelyn and Florita, they can answer the last questions way better than I can. But before I can tell you what is what is unique about INCE, this index on national evaluation capacities, you need to know what is INCE. So I would like to show a short video. Well, could you go back and show the video? Yeah. Other direction? No, you need to go back. Now. That's the video. I wanted to save some time showing the video. It does not really work out. No.
Spirit have established INCE as a key instrument for evaluation to be influential in our region, today and forever. If you want your entity to participate in the measurements in your country or for your national evaluation system to join the initiative, contact the INCE team and we will help you channel your request.
Okay, so you saw some pictures. Unfortunately, you could not really hear what was said in the video. So I will just share like the most important things about INCE. INCE is an index for national evaluation capacities. And it is an index that was developed in Latin America by a lot of different institutions in Latin America, like national institutions, like public institutions, universities, VOPs, and international actors. It has a lot of indicators, and it is measured every 2 years in the ideal case. And these measurements are led by the national evaluation entity. So a national evaluation entity is interested in a measurement, and then it would lead the measurement together with INCE experts. And those measurements are done in a very participatory way. It is like when we measure INCE, we connect the different parts of the national evaluation system. And I think this is very special about INCE. And it's a pity that you couldn't hear what was said in the video, but you can see the video online, and everything about INCE is online. That's the good thing. And what is not online, we will tell you in this panel. So, coming to your question, Taku, and could you now show the next slide, please? What I do think is special about INCE is that it creates networks. So I told you that we have those measurements every 2 years, and we need a lot of participation in those measurements. Like, people would come together to have the measurement, and they would then, once we have the results, discuss the results together. So there are all those different parts of the system, and I'm not speaking only about the public part of the system, but also about like the VOPs, for example, the universities who play an important role in many evaluation systems. And then, of course, in many countries, international organizations are an important part of the system as well. They would all come together to discuss the results. So there's a huge network created on the national level. And, well, this conference is about the strengthening of national evaluation systems, and we all know that we can strengthen systems only if we also strengthen like the linkages between the different parts of the system, not like one institution only. Like if I strengthen the national evaluation entity, that's important, but I also need to strengthen its links with the universities, with VOPs, etc. So that's what INCE is doing on a national level. And it's also what is happening on a regional level, because INCE is now, we can say that it's a regional network, actually. We would meet regularly, I think it's once a month, with everybody interested in INCE. That is the national evaluation entities, that's also the international agencies, it's VOPs, like whoever is interested, to talk about, of course, the INCE results, but also to align our work. And I think this is like good practice in development cooperation. We would align each other's work regarding ECD, like telling us what we are planning to do. Like, for example, this conference is one of the agenda points. Who is coming? What do we want to present? Whom do we invite? So there's a huge alignment, I'd say, in Latin America on ECD, thanks to INCE. And of course, this regional network also gets a lot of really valuable input through this peer-to-peer learning. Like INCE is measured every 2 years, and then you would get the results. Actually, that's an important part about INCE too. Like those measurements, they take like, I don't know, a month, 2 months. You know better, Juan Pablo. It's a very short thing. It costs around 3,000 euros. It's a quick thing. But everything that happens around INCE is like where the real value is at. And often when the measurements are ready, we have this workshop around the results. Countries would invite each other, like the Dominican Republic invited Costa Rica, I think, and Peru invited Ecuador. I'm not sure who invited whom, but you always invite other countries to give feedback on the results and to learn from those dimensions. INCE has 5 dimensions where a country does better than another one. So it's it's a really nice network. And then the third point, and I will stop with this, what I think is really unique about INCE and why we really like to use INCE, and we would love to introduce it to other regions, is that all data, everything is available online. It's about 100% transparent. You can find the INCE history, which is really interesting. It's a participatory history from the day it was born. You can find each measurement. You can download the Excel files for each measurement. And that means that students can work with that. I think INCE is integrated in 2 university programs in Latin America. So professors can use it, students can use it. And of course, the ECD community. I mean, we're all very much aware how important evidence is. We need to base our ECD plans on evidence. And here we have shared with everybody. So I think this is a third really nice point about INCE and why we like to work with INCE so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that. We'll engage with the panelists at a later stage when everyone has had a chance. So let's move on to Florita for your presentation. And the question that you're going to address, what did you learn about monitoring and evaluation in Costa Rica that was not previously known to you before the diagnostic? And how is that knowledge helpful in improving monitoring and evaluation system of the country? Over to you.
Muy buenos días a todas y todos. En primer lugar, con mucho respeto, quiero dar gracias a Dios por la oportunidad de estar en esta actividad y poder hablar sobre el Sistema Nacional de Evaluación de Costa Rica. Costa Rica tiene un Sistema Nacional de Evaluación que cuenta con instrumentos muy importantes. Hemos creado un instrumento que es la Política Nacional de Evaluación. Este instrumento que tenemos es el que nos permite dar la visión de lo que queremos desde el 2018 al 2030. Es muy importante tener esta visión, pero lo más importante es que ha sido construida de manera participativa con todos los actores del país relacionados con evaluación, Poder Ejecutivo, Poder Legislativo, Poder Judicial, sociedad civil, academia, redes de evaluadores, etc. Entonces, esta es la ruta que tiene Costa Rica al 2030. Es un instrumento sumamente importante en nuestro Sistema Nacional de Evaluación. Además, hemos construido todo un instrumental conceptual, técnico y metodológico. Tenemos el Manual de Evaluaciones Públicas y esto lo que nos permite es poder direccionar a todo el sector público costarricense con instrumentos y estandarizar. Y desde ese punto de vista hemos orientado otro instrumento muy importante, que son las agendas nacionales de evaluación. Las agendas nacionales de evaluación es un instrumento que se inserta dentro del Plan Nacional de Desarrollo del Gobierno de la República. En este sentido, ya llevamos 3 agendas nacionales de evaluación y están en la agenda de gobierno. Son las intervenciones públicas estratégicas que cada gobierno de la República decide evaluar en un periodo gubernamental. Iniciamos en el 2015, 2018, 2019, 2022 y ahora estamos en el 2023-2026. En ese marco llevamos aplicando los instrumentos de evaluación ya 3 agendas nacionales con más de 50 evaluaciones. Evaluaciones de diseño, evaluaciones de resultado, evaluaciones de efecto. En este sentido, esos 3 instrumentos son fundamentales. Pero hay un cuarto instrumento, es la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación. Y la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación es ese espacio en donde todos los que tenemos que trabajar en la parte de evaluación en el país nos reunimos. Es un espacio de reunión para poder analizar el tema de la evaluación. Algo importante es que la Política Nacional de Evaluación fue creada en este espacio. De esta forma, la Política Nacional de Evaluación fue elaborada, ha sido ejecutada, se le ha dado seguimiento y se le ha dado evaluación por parte de esta Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación. Y como hoy se dijo en la mañana, entre todos sí podemos. En este sentido, con estos 4 instrumentos, Costa Rica ha potenciado la función de evaluación en el sector público costarricense, pero también ha direccionado no solamente en el sector público, sino que también estos instrumentos sirven para otros entes y para otras poblaciones. En este sentido, nosotros como país hemos avanzado en el tema de evaluación en los últimos 11 años, principalmente. Y hay algo muy importante. Sara Clear acaba de mostrarnos una herramienta, acaba de mostrarnos el INCE. Cuando elaboramos la Política Nacional de Evaluación, que la iniciamos en el 2016, pero la publicamos, fue a partir del 2018, no teníamos esa información diagnóstica, esa fotografía que nos dijera Costa Rica está en esta situación con respecto a la evaluación. No teníamos una evidencia. Y es muy importante porque en el 2020 tuvimos esa evidencia, en el 2022 y en el 2024 tenemos la evidencia. Sería importante que nos la pasaran la lámina, la última lámina. Entonces, con mucha satisfacción, con mucho orgullo y realmente me siento muy feliz de poder contarles que Costa Rica tiene ese instrumental, esas 4 herramientas importantes para el desarrollo, para la potencialización de la evaluación y que hoy también cuenta con este índice de capacidades nacionales en evaluación que nos permite tomar esa fotografía como país para decir, aquí estamos en el tema de la evaluación, hay muchos buenos resultados, pero tenemos retos, como ustedes los pueden observar en la parte de uso. En la parte de uso es uno de los retos que tenemos. Y quizás la mejor noticia es que con esta información del índice estamos construyendo en este momento el plan de acción de la Política Nacional de Evaluación 2530. Y en ese sentido, este es un insumo muy importante para esa perspectiva y para, en conjunto, definir las acciones que tenemos que desarrollar como país para potenciar la evaluación. Quiero decirles que es importante la política, son importantes la Agenda Nacional de Evaluación, todo el instrumental técnico y metodológico, las agendas, la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación. Y que en Costa Rica hemos tenido un elemento fundamental para la evaluación, que es el apoyo político. Todas las administraciones hemos venido trabajando y tenemos ese apoyo político. Pero además tenemos el apoyo técnico. Hay una unidad de evaluación. Esa unidad de evaluación ha sido fortalecida con capacidades Y también ahí es muy importante la aptitud y la actitud y la aptitud de las personas que trabajan ahí. Tenemos la oportunidad en esta conferencia de participar mi persona y también el jefe de la unidad de evaluación, que es Eddie García Serrano, que está acá y me acompaña. Él ha sido la persona, él ha sido ese profesional que ha dirigido esa unidad y que hoy por eso hoy podemos mostrar todos los resultados que tenemos. Además, como lo dijimos, hay otras cosas importantes, como es el fortalecimiento de las capacidades y las relaciones con organismos. Y muchos nos han ayudado, CLIR y otros, pero es fundamental todo lo que nos ha dado el gobierno a través del Ministerio Federal Alemán, a través del Instituto de Evaluación de Alemania, que nos ha fortalecido y hemos establecido relaciones muy estratégicas para contar con todo ese apoyo. Y además, en la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación, a nivel nacional, contar con la academia y contar con las redes de evaluaciones y con muchos. Entonces, yo creo que desde mi perspectiva, la evaluación la podemos desarrollar de una manera integral, de una manera inclusiva, con la participación de todos y todas. Y en este caso sí tiene que haber un direccionamiento y una rectoría, y en el caso de Costa Rica es el Ministerio de Planificación Nacional y Política Económica. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Florita, for the presentation. Let's move on to Jocelyn, who is going also to answer the same question. What did you learn about M&E in Ecuador that was not previously known to you? And how is that knowledge helpful in M&E system of the country? Over to you.
Thank you very much. Bueno, buenos días con todos. Muchísimas gracias por la invitación de participar en este panel y poder contarles cómo Ecuador ha hecho uso de los resultados del INCE que lo mencionaba Sara en un inicio. Quisiera empezar comentándoles que la Secretaría Nacional de Planificación de Ecuador es una institución de gobierno, institución rectora del subsistema de seguimiento y evaluación. La Secretaría Nacional de Planificación lidera la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación. La Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación recibe diferentes actores de nuestro sistema de evaluación, actores como academia, instituciones de gobierno, representantes de la sociedad civil y representantes también de sociedades de evaluación en Ecuador. ¿Por qué es importante para nosotros la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación? Es importante porque nos permite fortalecer e ir construyendo una cultura de evaluación en Ecuador, porque no solo desde gobierno se debe trabajar en fomentar la cultura de evaluación, sino a través de diferentes actores que conforman el Sistema Nacional de Evaluación. Comentarles aquí un poco cómo empieza Ecuador a usar la medición del INCE. Ecuador empieza en el 2020 con la medición de 7 instituciones, no solo de gobierno, sino diferentes actores con su medición. Como este era un pilotaje, por así decirlo, no logramos como utilizar los resultados de este INCE. Para el 2022, Ecuador también vuelve a hacer una medición en el INCE, donde ya vamos identificando en qué dimensiones del INCE tenemos que poner mayor atención. En este sentido, hicimos en cambio en el 2023 un taller de manera presencial con diferentes actores. Tuvimos alrededor de 90 actores del Sistema Nacional de Evaluación para poder plantear los resultados y ver cómo vamos a usar los resultados del INCE. En este sentido, Ecuador también se aproxima a una tercera medición que estará haciéndolo próximamente en este mes de octubre. A finales de octubre vamos a hacer nuestra tercera medición de los resultados del INCE. Es importante mencionar que en los resultados del 2022, Ecuador salió bajo, como una puntuación baja en la dimensión de multiactor e uso de las evaluaciones. En este sentido, con este taller de interpretación de los resultados del INCE, con los diferentes actores que forman parte del sistema de evaluación, elaboramos un plan de acción donde podamos establecer acciones para fomentar esas dimensiones en las cuales estuvimos bajas. Es aquí importante mencionar que estuvieron funcionarios de gobierno, agencias de Naciones Unidas también, sociedad civil. En Ecuador también tenemos gobiernos autónomos descentralizados, que son gobiernos en territorio, que no forman parte del Ejecutivo, que también es importante conocer su visión desde territorio, porque cada territorio tiene su propia característica. En este sentido también presentamos y fuimos realizando estos planes de acción, los mismos que fueron trabajados después ya con la Plataforma Nacional de Evaluación de Ecuador y fuimos realizando ya las acciones concretas. Por ejemplo, en el taller de uso de resultados se evidenció que era necesario crear una norma técnica de evaluación en Ecuador para fomentar la cultura y también para institucionalizar los procesos de evaluación. En este sentido, también eso nos ayudó el Índice Nacional de Capacidades de Evaluación, porque vimos que era necesario empezar a regular los procesos de evaluación. ¿Qué hemos hecho nosotros como ente rector en Ecuador? Hemos ya creado esta norma técnica de evaluación, hemos ya enviado a nuestras instituciones de gobierno y al realizar una norma técnica de evaluación en Ecuador, les genera esto ya de ser de manera obligatoria para las instituciones. Así también a través de esta norma técnica de evaluación, nosotros hemos iniciado para garantizar el uso de los resultados de las evaluaciones y que no solo se queden como evaluaciones guardadas en un escritorio, sino que se empiecen a dar este uso de los resultados. Eso fue algo que nos permitió el INCE evidenciar y plantearlo e ir fomentando nuestra cultura de evaluación. También vimos que faltaba fomentar la cultura de evaluación, haciendo entender a las instituciones qué es evaluación, porque muchas veces en Ecuador pensaban que los procesos de evaluación eran procesos solo de seguimiento o procesos de auditoría y control. En este sentido, Ecuador creó plataformas de Moodle de capacitaciones para instituciones de gobierno para iniciar explicando qué es evaluación, la importancia de la evaluación y no que lo entiendan como un proceso de control o auditoría. Eso también fue crucial, que lo pudimos ver a través del INCE. Adicionalmente, también pudimos realizar una guía que la estamos trabajando, una guía de uso de resultados de evaluación para que cada institución pueda conocer su rol que debe hacer en el seguimiento al plan de acción. Aquí les presento brevemente la norma técnica. Esta norma técnica es importante mencionar que fue emitida por el ministro y eso nos permite garantizar la sostenibilidad de los procesos de evaluación en Ecuador. En Ecuador, el último año ha atravesado por temas políticos y cambios de gobiernos anticipados, pero para nosotros garantizar la sostenibilidad de los procesos de evaluación nos ha permitido generar esta normativa que no es fácil cambiarla con cualquier cambio de gobierno. También pudimos ver que teníamos bajos en la oferta de evaluación. Para esto incluimos a diferentes de la academia para poder ofertar capacitaciones y seminarios acerca de los temas de evaluación. ¿Cómo nosotros hemos atravesado los obstáculos en lecciones? Para nosotros ha sido sumamente importante esta norma técnica de evaluación. Adicional también Ecuador cuenta con una guía de evaluación de políticas públicas que nos ha permitido a los diferentes actores del Sistema Nacional de Evaluación presentar no solo los beneficios de la evaluación ni su importancia, sino también de manera sistemática los pasos y las fases que debe seguir un proceso de evaluación. Para nosotros como Ecuador es sumamente importante seguir fortaleciendo e ir institucionalizando y gracias al INCE y a DEVA y a través del proyecto FOSELAC que nos ha apoyado en estas mediciones para nosotros seguir viendo qué acciones tenemos que implementar para fomentar la cultura de evaluación y fortalecer el sistema de evaluación en Ecuador. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Jocelyn. So let's move on to the other table. Ketevan, so what do you think the MESA 2 offers that is particularly useful, unique, and when do you think government or even non-governmental institutions should use the two? Over to you, Kete.
Thank you, Taco. I will start by explaining what MESA is. So MESA represents Monitoring and Evaluation Systems Assessment Guidance Note. And this tool was developed by Global Evaluation Initiative in collaboration with GICE network, which is kind of a global network of regional excellence centers for M&E, clear centers. I'm sure you've met some of our representatives, and if not, I would strongly kind of invite you to meet with us and learn a bit more what clear centers do probably in the regions that you represent. And we also consulted extensively with our partners like DIVAL. We learned a lot from INCE's experience in Latin America on doing evaluation-focused diagnostic. We also consulted with other partners on similar tools with a very specific objective. We wanted to create a guidance and knowledge piece that would help government to learn where are the priorities to improve M&E systems in the country so that it can help enhance public administration reforms and public administration management capacity. So I think that the strength of the tool, that it's focused on the solutions rather than kind of providing diagnostic as an objective itself. It helps governments to track where could be the priorities, where could be the low-hanging fruits, as well as the long-term investment needs to improve the capacity in how planning and budgeting is done. Is it linked to evidence and monitoring? To what extent the country has strong monitoring and reporting capacities so it can advance its capacities? Will that be climate finance or development finance? And lastly, but not the least, of course, to look into to what level evaluation system, evaluation culture is developed in the country so that they can have more a more advanced level of evidence-based policy making. I think this is what makes a tool in a way helpful for governments. We usually help, I think the process of MESA is also very important. It's focused to be led by the government counterpart in collaboration with clear centers and the GEI to kind of combine this three approach of having a locally led study with support from maybe regional and international experts, with an emphasis to use local knowledge as much as possible. For example, in Solomon Islands, we used local indigenous dialogue methods to unpack what M&E system represents in this country and how different the knowledge traditions make it in their context. With an understanding that we want this process to be quick, we want to provide answers and solutions to how evidence-based policymaking can improve in the country. I think I'll stop here and I'll let to expand on MESA tool as we go forward, but I would like to encourage you to all visit betterevaluation.org. You can see MESA tools there as well as any other similar tools, and you can have your own kind of quick glance into seeing what works the best for you. Our objective is to help to design capacity building strategies based on having a very participatory and inclusive understanding of to what extent M&E systems exist in the countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Let's change the gears and listen to Guido here. How does WFP use its understanding of M&E systems to improve its programming and make it more effective, and which tool have you used? Over to you.
Thank you, Taku. First, I just want to acknowledge that WFP is very proud to be here, and it's the result of all the work that our regional bureaus have done, our country offices as well, and the recognition from partners such as DEVAL, GEI, that we can have a seat at this table today. So our evaluation policy recognizes the need to strengthen national evaluation capacities. And as part of that, in 2022, WFP developed an action plan on how to operationalize the support to those capacities in countries. And the key to that action plan is that it kind of delineates a decentralized approach. So basically that actions will be taken through our regional bureaus, our country offices, and things will be done in partnerships. So it really highlights the importance of working with others who are doing this, recognizing the fact that WFP is an agency that has a sectoral interest, and that there are others that are better positioned to work at the center of government and system-wide actions, but also recognizing and leveraging the existing capacities of governments. So with those kind of guidelines or principles, it stipulates 5 key areas of work, one of which is the diagnostics and mapping of national evaluation systems. Why do we see, and going back to your question, Taku, why do we see that the diagnostics fit, our action plan or the priorities that we've established? One is that going back to this idea of recognizing existing capacities, mapping and diagnostics usually help identify and recognize existing capacities in contexts where they are not clearly documented. 2 is that we believe that they are like an entry point for system-wide action that can lead to institutionalization efforts. And similarly, we tend to believe that these type of activities are an input for more effective, more strategic decision-making on how to further develop national evaluation systems. Can be an input on which are the policies, the frameworks that are necessary, what are the capacity development needs that governments have. And last 2 points, they have the capacity. Some efforts more than others, in some countries more than others, some tools more than others, but mobilizing system-wide actors that give room to influencing advocacy and partnerships for the promotion of the development of national evaluation capacities. And last but not least is that these efforts tend to facilitate and provide a broad, I don't know what happened with the mic there. Provide a broader framework for then sectoral or ministerial collaboration on evaluation capacities, which is something that WFP has a particular interest on. Now, we have also, going back to the second point, we have implemented or supported the implementation of some of these exercises in East and Central Africa. In 2021, 2022, WFP supported an analysis of the M&E capacities of Djibouti, Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya. In Latin America, we supported the development of the INCE, which has already been implemented in 10 countries. And in Asia, we're currently working in multiple countries to implement system-wide assessments, but also agency-specific and ministry-specific. Connecting these two things with the effective use and timing of the diagnostics and mapping, I think in 2023 we kind of did an internal review of what were some of the lessons that were emerging from these processes that we had been involved in. And I think the most relevant that speak to the effective use are that these diagnostics exercises work better when the national government are at the center. This tends to facilitate ownership, the relevance in the use. In a sense, governments are the process. They've spoken to it. I'll leave that for the future exchanges. We observed that there are specific advantages on building NEC, national evaluation capacities, through a product-oriented approach. It gives a sense of delivery, it provides a sense of collaboration with other actors, and it kind of gives us a sense of success once the tool has been delivered or the diagnostics has been delivered, that can be can build some momentum. Also, we've seen that there is a lot of complementarity and compatibility across different tools, and that we need to kind of be strategic about which tools are more adaptable to a specific context and to the specific needs of the government. And finally, and I'm cherry picking here because the report had a lot more lessons, but some of these efforts can have systemic effects in the institutionalization of initiatives. I picked 3 examples of the experience of INCE in Latin America. In Colombia, for example, since 2022, INCE is part of the baseline for the national evaluation policy, and it is used and will be used as a monitoring tool to track the progress on evaluation capacities development. In Peru, since 2022 as well, the INCE is part of the system to monitor the progress on the National Development Plan, so it has been built into that. And in Dominican Republic, the results were used for the elaboration of the National Evaluation Plan and the follow-up and monitoring reports. I think I'm going to stop that there and just give it to...
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to him. So let's move on to the next panelist, Pitoto. What did you learn about monitoring and evaluation in Benin that was not previously known to you or to the country, and how is that knowledge helpful in M&E system of the country?
Merci beaucoup. Merci de m'avoir invité pour présenter l'expérience du Bénin dans la réalisation des études diagnostiques. En 2007, après que le gouvernement du Bénin ait décidé de faire de l'évaluation une priorité nationale, il a initié une étude diagnostique des capacités évaluatives dans le pays afin de faire l'état des lieux de la pratique de l'évaluation et d'évaluer la qualité des rapports d'évaluation qui existent déjà et aussi de proposer un scénario pour développer et renforcer le système national de l'évaluation du pays. Et les résultats de cette étude diagnostique ont permis de voir qu'au niveau national, au niveau macro, il y a une vision qui existe déjà pour l'évaluation, mais qu'il n'y a pas de politique. Et même si un cadre réglementaire existe, ce cadre réglementaire est encore à une étape embryonnaire. Ensuite, au niveau méso, la fonction évaluative, même si elle existe, elle est encore faible et il n'y avait pas de budget pour la réalisation des études d'évaluation et les compétences n'existent pas. Et au niveau micro, nous n'avons pas de ressources professionnelles pour la réalisation des évaluations et des formations n'existent pas. Et après la réalisation les résultats de cette étude diagnostique, une politique nationale d'évaluation a été élaborée et adoptée pour la période de 2012 à 2021. Et cette politique nationale est applicable aussi bien pour toutes les administrations au niveau national et aussi au niveau décentralisé. Et elle avait, avait trois axes stratégiques. D'abord, l'institutionnalisation de l'évaluation, la promotion de la pratique évaluative et le développement des capacités nationales d'évaluation. La mise en œuvre de cette politique nationale aussi nous a permis d'élaborer un guide méthodologique national d'évaluation qui est utilisé comme référence dans l'évaluation des politiques publiques. Cela permet d'harmoniser les pratiques évaluatives dans le pays. Et la mise en œuvre de cette politique aussi, de façon très importante, nous a permis d'initier un projet de loi sur l'évaluation des politiques publiques que nous avons soumis à l'Assemblée. Cette loi a été votée en janvier 2024 de cette année. Et je tiens à noter que la première étude diagnostique que nous avons réalisée en 2010 a aussi permis d'identifier tous les acteurs du système national d'évaluation et d'identifier un peu leur rôle, le rôle qu'ils peuvent utiliser et jouer dans le système pour sa promotion. Nous parlons de ces acteurs aussi bien de la présidence, des ministères. Au niveau départemental, nous avons aussi l'Assemblée nationale qui a joué d'ailleurs un rôle très important dans le vote de la loi sur l'évaluation. Il y a la Cour des comptes, il y a la société civile et l'université et d'autres acteurs aussi. Donc après plus d'une dizaine d'années de pratique évaluative, nous avons initié une deuxième étude diagnostique pour faire l'état des lieux de l'utilisation des résultats d'évaluation dans le pays. Et ceci nous a permis de voir que, en général, l'utilisation des résultats d'évaluation est assez faible dans le pays. Pratiquement, plus de la moitié des institutions n'utilisent pas des résultats d'évaluation pour élaborer des politiques publiques. Et dans le cas où des évaluations sont faites et que des recommandations existent et elles sont mises en œuvre, c'est souvent de façon partielle. Donc, ce que je voudrais dire, c'est que quand nous faisons une évaluation et qu'il y a des recommandations, en général, quand elles sont mises en œuvre, c'est de façon partielle. Et surtout, lorsque on veut faire une nouvelle, élaborer ou bien actualiser une politique. Parce que avec la loi dans le pays, désormais, vous ne pouvez plus actualiser une politique qui existe déjà si vous ne l'avez pas évaluée. Donc, en général, les résultats d'évaluation sont utilisés dans le cadre d'actualisation d'une politique qui existe déjà. Et quels sont les principaux obstacles à l'utilisation des résultats d'évaluation dans le pays? Nous avons identifié, l'étude Diagnostic nous a permis d'identifier que souvent, en général, les rapports d'évaluation sont trop longs et très techniques et ça ne facilite pas leur utilisation. Et les recommandations issues de ces évaluations sont souvent mal élaborées et un suivi n'existe pas pour la mise en œuvre. Le suivi n'est pas... Il n'y a pas un suivi réel pour la mise en œuvre des recommandations. Et un autre problème que nous avons, c'est les changements institutionnels. Souvent, un ministère peut, à un moment donné, fusionner avec un autre, ou bien c'est les cadres qui sont souvent mutés. Ça ne permet pas de suivre la mise en œuvre de ces recommandations. Et aussi, il y a souvent le défaut de financement pour la mise en œuvre des recommandations. Et nous avons aussi, il n'y a pas d'outils ou bien de méthodes pour guider l'utilisation de ces résultats d'évaluation. Comme perspective, le Bénin dispose d'une plateforme de gestion des connaissances en évaluation et actuellement, nous avons initié l'actualisation de cette plateforme pour faciliter le suivi de la mise en œuvre des recommandations. Donc, si un ministère, par exemple, fait une évaluation d'une politique donnée et nous avons les recommandations, nous allons les mettre sur la plateforme et pouvoir suivre leur mise en œuvre avec la structure de façon beaucoup plus facile avec l'usage de l'outil informatique. Et aussi, pour améliorer toujours la pratique évaluative, nous sommes en train d'actualiser le guide méthodologique national d'évaluation qui avait été adopté depuis 2018. Donc, après 5 ans d'utilisation de ce guide, nous sommes en train de l'actualiser parce que nous avons noté qu'il y a certaines insuffisances. Donc, nous sommes en train de l'actualiser pour pouvoir améliorer toujours la pratique de l'évaluation. Et quelque chose qui peut vraiment aussi être utile dans le secteur, c'est le vote de la loi sur l'évaluation. Donc, nous sommes en train déjà d'élaborer les décrets d'application de cette loi. Et ceci va faciliter le financement de tout ce qui concerne les activités d'évaluation, parce que dans un des décrets d'application de cette loi prévoit qu'il faut prévoir un budget de entre 5 à 10% des budgets de mise en œuvre des politiques publiques à l'évaluation de cette politique. Donc, je pense que c'est ce que je peux dire pour le moment sur le cas du Bénin. On va développer. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we go to the last presenter, Bexod. How are you planning to use the findings from the MESA to develop a sustainable planning system and monitoring and reporting system in your country?
Yeah, thank you, Zaku. First, let me shortly just speak of how MESA was going in Uzbekistan in a small presentation. It's not a presentation, it's a tree list, actually. Tree list. So, first slide, please. Yes. So actually, our collaboration with CLEAR and GEI started in June 23, but I would like to pay attention here that CLEAR and GEI started actually in Uzbekistan a little bit earlier. They started at the ministerial level, and at some point we stepped in as a presidential, as an agency under the president, and we stepped in and took this initiative onto the national level. And this gave MESA and our partners an opportunity to involve all those entities you see on the screen and beyond that. Besides those entities, there were involved state agencies. There's a list of state agencies, and also research institutes and centers. This gave way more diverse insights to MESA, and you can and findings. We can switch to findings. Taku, next slide, please. So these are the findings. This is a shorter list of the findings, of course, but this is the most important ones for us. So in this point, I will not read all of them, but I would like to pay attention to one point. There's a big interest of our president to make result out of strategies and plans. And this can be achieved, of course, by M&E systems. And this also can be achieved by a strategic planning system, which is also developing in our country. So, yes, and most importantly, this third point approach that makes difficult to track meaningful progress. It is actually difficult in our country to track progress, I mean, the impact. Well, right now we are tracking mostly actions, what was done, what was not done. So next slide. And the third list is actually what I'm going to talk more about is also of our ongoing collaborative efforts, but also how MESA made an impact on our country. So first of all, during the analysis, as we were conducting the MESA analysis, we were also developing a new national development strategy, and our agency was a part of this work. So during this, we took consultations and made some structural changes to our strategy. So it can be more useful to track impact, to track the progress, the meaningful progress. And also there was another ongoing track. We were developing strategic planning decree. Right now it's already developed. It is waiting for acceptance of the presidents. And our partners made a huge impact, huge input on a M&E block of this decree. They participated, and this decree was actually was developed by support of GIZ, and but we collaborated, all sat on one table. We made a lot of video calls, and our partners from GEI helped a lot to develop an M&E block. So also we made capacity buildings, a lot of capacity buildings in the process of engagement. All the facilities, all the entities, with all the engagements, we were starting with a presentation of what M&E is and what MESA is, and it actually gave a huge impact, because there was a much more clearer understanding of what M&E actually is, because there was a misunderstanding. There was an absence of culture, of evaluation culture. There is a culture of reporting in our country. So And in these terms, the program-based budgeting, yes, the Ministry of Economy and Finance asked small consultations, not small, consultations for their program. It is also an ongoing program, and they are completing the first pilot in 2 ministries, the transition to a program-based budgeting. And in the end, the direct impact was actually an M&E decree. M&E decree, we were developing M&E decree with a clear and GEI experts. It's still ongoing, we're still designing, but it's I think, very valuable input from our partners. So I would have repeat that it's an impact of MESA, but it's unnecessary. I would like to add that it's an impact of people, of the experts we worked with. And your question, Aku, the most valuable findings actually is happening right now for me and for my colleague is this community of experts, evaluations, experienced people. And we were 2 days in here, and we already talked with a lot of people, and we're already exchanging experience, already getting new ideas, and it's a big finding. Thank you for that, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the panelists. Let's open the floor for some questions. I would encourage you to be brief in your questioning, and also just direct the question to a particular panelist. So I'll take the first questions. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 questions.
Hello, I am Noel from the Dominican Republic, and I would like to ask, how's the selection process to include a country to the MESA measurement?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the nice presentation. Both for INCE and MESA. So I'm Abhinash from India, Niti Aayog, National Evaluation Office. So I have a couple of questions. I will be very brief. First to Sarah from INCE. So basically, is this index cross-country comparable? So because you have standardized it into 5 buckets. And I see some, like I've gone through your Excel sheet from INCE website. Thank you for the presentation. So I see there are various weights, various like you average it and do it. So the questions or the indicators are very broad. So how do you actually anchor it? So is there a kind of, out of 10 points, when you are giving some points, like you are asking the agencies, you are asking the external view, and you are asking the NES other partners. So how, from what is a 10's perfect score, and how do they give marks out of that, so that you are framing this index? Especially with regard to the quality of evaluations. So the quality of evaluation is very, very broad, generic, and the indicators are also very broad. So how do you actually dig in and specify that? And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful presentations. I just had a simple question for both Sarah and Katie. That ideally, when you're going in a country to conduct your diagnostics, you must have a buy-in, whether it's political or from other parties. But sometimes you don't have that luxury, and you want to work in a country. Then in that case, what is that you suggest? How to, either you don't do it, or you still conduct it, and then, do you have any experiences that you can share if there has been such examples?
Hi, thank you for your presentations. I'm Ying from Shanghai University of Business and Economics, and I just to watch the website of INCE, and I found the data sets just include the American countries, and I think these data sets have potential application in academic research, and I'm wondering is well possible in the future, include the data about the African country and East South of Asian countries. So yeah, that's my question.
Okay. Maybe let's take, is that the fifth one? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, good noon. I'd like to ask the presenters if you have done a lot analysis, a deeper analysis on the impact of these indices on, let's say, overall government performance. Like, let's say, for example, there are components of the indices that would pertain to how strong is the policy and legal framework for evaluation in the country, and the quality of institutional arrangements. Have there been efforts on the part of the Global Evaluation Initiative to conduct, like, say, multiple regression analysis on how strong are these components in terms of overall government performance? Have they really, what are the components in the index that really contribute to overall government performance? Because I think with this kind of analysis, we can really help push for, like, in terms of buy-in in our country, that if we conduct this analysis, we can really detect where are the strengths. Because in the Philippines, we have been pushing for the legislation of a national evaluation policy. We have an executive policy way back in 2015, and there's a summative evaluation that came out last year. And you know, the theory of change of embedding evaluation within each government agency has not really been, it's not practically only one agency embedded that function. So we're looking for a stronger enforcement mechanism, maybe by way of a legislation. So we're interested in seeing if this component, the legal and institutional framework for evaluation, would really be a good direction to go for developing our national evaluation system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. So panelists, there we are with the questions. Some are directed, so probably I'll just hand over to the panelists to answer the questions. Maybe we can start from that table in terms of the ones that have been asked about the INCE and the MESA.
Okay, so I start. Thank you very much for those inspiring questions. It's, as I said, like, INCE is a very participatory thing, so we always get out of those kind of sessions with more ideas. Like the last one from the Philippines, we have not done that, but it's a really good idea to take the INCE results and have an overall look on the performance of governance in certain dimensions of the INCE. So we have not done it, but thank you for this really good advice. I will pass that on to the INCE team, and you can even share it through their homepage. So we haven't done it, but perhaps Katie knows more about that from the GI side. The question on the regional focus of INCE. Well, INCE was born in a platform meeting. Like we gathered with different ECD stakeholders from Latin America, and there someone had the idea, and then we developed it over years, actually, and then it was piloted in Latin America. And now it's institutionalized in many countries in Latin America, right? And we would be more than happy, and with we, it's primarily the World Food Program and DEVAL, but also UN agencies, to implement it in other regions. Actually, this is what we are looking for to do right now. So if there's any national evaluation entity in this room interested in having an INCE assessment, we're more than happy to do that. And actually, I see a colleague from UNICEF over there, and we might pilot INCE in an Asian country without saying too much. So yes, this is where we want to go to, but we're not there yet. And this also refers to your question, Anna, that when a country does not want an INCE, we cannot do it. Like it's the 1% ownership with a national evaluation entity. So, and this is also a weakness. We have not talked about the weaknesses of those diagnostic tools, at least I have not said a lot of things about the weaknesses of INCE, and this is one. And also, like, we can only do it in a country where we have some sort of a system. Sometimes we do not have a national evaluation entity, and then it's, well, we want to try out that. I see a colleague from Ukraine. We want to try that out in Ukraine. We're not there yet, but these are the questions we're tackling with right now. And then the very first question about like how we score the INCE results, how we weigh the different perspectives. This is a very technical question, so I don't think that perhaps we can talk about this afterwards, but actually it's a really good question, and also these kind of questions in the INCE homepage are more than welcome, because we did, of course, what you did, looked at the through the matrix and through the variables, indicators, and we noticed, you probably saw the same, that some of them are very broad and some of them, like, they repeat themselves. So we're right now in the process of adapting that. So there will be less indicators, I don't know, I think by the end of the year. I'm not too much into the technical details, I have to admit, but that's a really good point. And we're always happy to get this sort of feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for very good questions. I'll try to reflect on as many as I can. I'll start with a question on how we choose to work in the country on MESA. I guess that was a question. Usually it always comes with a strong demand from the government. We work per demand that the government wants to improve public administration systems, want to enhance M&E function, wants to enhance evaluation. So there is a very strong vision of an objective at the end. But of course, we do have limited resources. So in the countries where, for example, INCE has been completed, we try to follow up on those findings, and that's what we did, for example, in Dominican Republic and Ecuador. The GI teams, CLEAR teams, have been working effectively with governments, following up from the findings that other tools like INCE have developed. I think what MESA also provides is that it can actually be a self-administered tool. It provides a very good guidance on what are the good practices, what are the good questions to ask, how to create a story on what works and what not. And it's in a way it can be taken forward by the government, represented by the government teams itself. And the CLEAR GI teams can always be consulted for in-kind contributions if we are not able to kind of provide a full-scale support. But I mentioned the CLEAR centers. Those are really our implementation hands, and they have direct. I guess they receive the direct request from the governments to work either on diagnostic or capacity building plans. The other question was, do we still do diagnostics in the country that doesn't want to have a diagnostic? Of course not. Our objective is not to deliver a report. Our objective is to support country to identify alternatives, capacity building options to strengthen specific gaps. And in that, we understand that it's important for us to understand where the problems lie, and also to make sure that they have a full picture of where can be the opportunities to build capacities. For example, we recently worked with the government of Bhutan, who specifically told us that they don't want to do yet another diagnostic, but they want to reform their M&E structure in the country, and they want to develop new M&E framework and new M&E policies. When you have such a strong request, of course, you focus on the deliverable, which is help a country to develop a new M&E structure, M&E policy. But that can only happen by the team itself doing almost like a due diligence analysis of what is happening in the country, and then feeding that information to the government. So I would say that was a shadow MESA that we took upon ourselves to be able to support the country, to guide with the knowledge and understanding the context that we work. Another good question was, I think, if we have any evidence that supporting legal policy on evaluations works or not in terms of improving the governance. I think OECD has created a lot of good material on this. From our case studies, we will be more than happy to share with you. I think from the practice itself, we've seen that, especially in the countries where there is a law on integrating evaluation into country policy making, we see that those systems work the best in terms of attention to the evaluation in the policy planning process. In the countries where evaluation is part of the policy or part of the guidelines, we see that if there is a change of government, change of priorities, evaluation often moves in the back door. But I'm sure in OECD and maybe other studies you can find more specific evidence on that. And I think me and Gonzalo and some other people in the room will be very happy to chat with you on some of those evidence. I'll leave it here and maybe ask my colleagues to add.
Let's just have maybe one more here, but please be brief.
Sí, como se dice, hay 5 dimensiones del INCE, pero cada una de ellas tiene sus indicadores. Entonces, por ejemplo, en el caso de Costa Rica, nosotros tenemos una fotografía, por ejemplo, en el caso del uso, es una de los indicadores que sale bajo. Nosotros, como Ministerio de Planificación, en este caso, tenemos el manual de evaluación plantea el uso de las evaluaciones, y realmente esto lo hemos aplicado a las instituciones que efectúan las evaluaciones. Entonces, en ese ámbito, en el ámbito de la aplicación de las recomendaciones y en el uso de la evaluación para mejorar la política pública, ahí salimos bien. No obstante, hay otros tipos de uso, por ejemplo, el que le puede dar la sociedad civil, el que le puede dar el Poder Legislativo y otros poderes en donde salimos, digamos, bajos. Entonces, esto nos permite tener esos detalles para poder tomar decisiones. En este caso, como lo indiqué, estamos en la elaboración del Plan de Acción de la Política Nacional de Evaluación 2530. Entonces, este es un factor que vamos a incluir en esa programación. Y de esa manera, el índice nos ayuda a tener esa fotografía, ese diagnóstico, para poder visualizar cuáles son las acciones correctivas para potencializar la evaluación y para potencializar el uso de la evaluación, en este caso, para mejorar la política pública y mejorar las condiciones de vida de los costarricenses, en este caso.
Bueno, desde gobierno, lo que quisiera como complementar de lo que comentaron nuestros otros panelistas, desde gobierno quería comentarles que realmente para nosotros ha sido sumamente eficiente este tipo de mediciones o de diagnóstico, porque permiten ver dónde el país tiene que fortalecer o prestar mayor atención las acciones. En este sentido, por eso solo quería terminar diciendo que desde Ecuador se ha implementado la norma técnica y también se ha iniciado la articulación con diferentes organismos de Naciones Unidas. Entonces, realmente para el gobierno es muy eficiente este tipo de mediciones.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the questions. And I think we only have 5 minutes before we break for lunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probably conclude based on what the colleagues or the panelists had delivered today. So I think there is a consensus around the diversity of tools and their application in understanding national evaluation systems in different contexts. And we have heard that much of the findings that are coming from these diagnostic tools are being implemented. We have heard from Ecuador the issue around training plan in evaluation that has been developed, and also the issue around strategic planning decree and monitoring and evaluation decree from Uzbekistan. And I think also the issue that is very critical is that these assessments or diagnostics, they have to be regular, because they respond to the emerging needs and policy changes in a country. And I think also from what the panelists are saying, I think there are some best practices that are emerging. The issue around ensuring stakeholder engagement throughout the assessment process, I think is very essential. Looking at universities and civil society organizations, given their different roles and responsibilities in sustaining the national evaluation system, M&E system, then also the need to build capacity in conducting these diagnostics, I think is also very much important, given what has been said, that most of them are as a result of development partners. And I think it would be unfair if we would not talk about the local context, that you have to be sensitive about the local context in which these tools are being applied, and that brings about compatibility and also comparability in the application of that. And I think there's an issue around resources that has been raised as well. Resources in the case of budgets to conduct diagnostics, and also resources in terms of human capital to undertake those diagnostics has been also raised. So I think as we move forward, I think it's clear that the NES tools play an important role in strengthening national evaluation capacities, and there's need for continued research and knowledge dissemination and sharing, peer-to-peer learning, but without copying and pasting, taking consideration that the context is very much important. So I want to encourage you all, as we reflect continuously in this conference, that when we go back, we should continuously investigate and do diagnostics of our national M&E systems, so that our interventions, they are relevant and also contextually relevant in terms of curating strategies that are reflective of what is coming out from the diagnostics. So thank you once again to our panelists and also to the audience for the contributions. And I think this concludes the panel for today. Thank you.